equations by graphing. So a quadratic equation, remember, is nothing more than an equation that involves a quadratic function. So basically, x squared is your highest power. And so the standard form of a quadratic equation, this should look familiar. Ax squared plus bx plus c, and that equals 0. That's really important that you see it equals 0. Okay? A cannot equal 0. So a has to be a number. Because if it would be 0, you wouldn't have an x squared, right? A, b, and c are all integers, which means they are positive or negative whole numbers again. No fractions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just look at a graph. Now this is taken from your book, so you could actually follow along. And this just is going to illustrate what we do today. So first of all, the definition of a root is a solution of a quadratic equation. That's what you're going to be finding today. Okay, you're going to be finding roots. And so first of all, we have what is known as the zeros. The zeros are the x-intercepts. Now in order to find the zeros, we let y equal 0. So basically, here's my quadratic function right here. If I wanted to find my zeros, I'm going to let f of x or y equal 0, which is what I did right there. And so if you notice algebraically, they went through and showed that negative 2 and 3 are both zeros and roots of the equation. And so as a result, negative 2 and 3 are my x-intercepts. Okay, so there are algebraic ways, and we will learn about those in section 3, 5, and 6. Okay, but today we're going to look at if you graph this. So if you graph this using our graphing software, how can I tell what the x-intercepts are, or what the zeros are, or what the roots are? So what I need you to do right now is I need you to go to this website. This is a different website than GeoGebra. Okay, it's a little more user-friendly. The other thing I need you to do is write down that equation. Okay, x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So the website is just rentcalculators.org. And that takes us to this site right here. Now you're going to notice on the left side, there are a lot of choices. You want to take that second one down, that free online calculator. Okay? You see that one? Free online calculator. That's what you need to click. Okay, so you need to make sure everybody gets to the rentcalculators.org. And then click the free online calculator. Okay. So is there anybody that could not get theirs going?
Where did you? I tried to scroll it.
So, anybody not get theirs up and going? Because I do in fact have 2 of them up here that are up and going.
Where?
Can we did you push?
So the little link, it's right under this.
Nailed it.
So does everybody have theirs up and going?
No.
We'll get it there.
Wait on it.
Okay, I've got it here if you need to use this one.
It's not fun.
Okay, so let's go ahead and click the free online calculator. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to be brought up to a page like this. We want the free online graphing calculator. Okay, so free online graphing calculator, I need you to go ahead and click. And then what that's going to do is that's going to bring up a window like this. I'm going to go ahead and move it down so we can get it on the video. And there you go. So far, so good? Now what we're going to do is I want you to go where it says y1 equals, and I want you to place your cursor. So in that first rectangular box. And in that first rectangular box, I want you to type x squared minus 3x minus 4. Now when you do that x squared, you have to use the caret key, which is above the 6. So x squared minus 3x minus 4. So whatever the quadratic is, that's what you're going to put in the box. I want you to go ahead and click graph. The graph is located in orange. It's over on the right side. So if you click graph, you should notice that that's what you get. Now remember, if I'm trying to find the roots or the zeros of this equation, I'm looking for what?
Y-intercept.
Not the y-intercepts, the x-intercepts. So I'm specifically looking where this graph intersects the x-axis. And where does the graph intersect the x-axis?
-1.
-1 and +4. Okay, so my two solutions are -1 and +4. And there you go. Okay,
That's the whole.
that's it. That's what you're doing. Now we're going to learn how to do these algebraically as well, because there is a way to do these algebraically.
That sounds hard.
So let's go ahead and look at this one. Now this one is different because what do you notice? It doesn't equal 0. So you know what? We're going to make it equal 0. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And so on your graphing calculator, I want you to go ahead and enter in x squared minus 8x plus 12. Okay? So we have x squared minus 8x plus 12. Oops. Now hit the graph button again. So where do you notice that the solutions are going to be? 2 and 6. Okay? So 2 and 6. Any questions so far? Let's look at another one. Okay? Now, real quick, you have possibilities on quadratics. You can either have one solution, which is where it sits on the axis. You can have two real solutions, which is what we've had so far. Or you could have no real solution, which means it sits above the axis. It doesn't intersect. So you might get some different answers here. You might get no solution. You might get one solution. So let's go ahead and look at another one. Now this one, if you notice, we need to solve that first. We need to get everything to one side. And it doesn't matter what side you move them to. So what do you want to move?
X squared.
You want to move the x squared? Okay, so I can move the x squared over here. I'm also going to move the 14. So on the left side, you have 0. On the right side, I have x squared plus 9. So I want you to go ahead and graph that on your graphing calculator and see what you get. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, so x squared minus 6x plus 9. What do you get when you do that? You get one solution, which is at 3. So one solution, which is at 3. Let's look at another one. X squared plus 5 equals negative 8x minus 11. So what do you need to do? Move over the 8x and let's move over the 11. Okay? So on the left side, what do you get?
X squared.
X squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So go ahead and type that in. X squared plus 8x plus 16. So x squared plus 8x plus 16. What's your solution at? Negative 4. All right, so my answer is negative 4. Now let's look at this next one. It says solve by graphing if exact roots cannot be found. So that basically means that it's not going to touch at a number. It might be in between two numbers. So it says if exact roots cannot be found, state the consecutive integers between which the roots are located. So basically you're going to tell me between what two numbers does it cross. Okay, so go ahead and do x squared minus 6x plus 4. Okay, x squared minus 6x plus 4. So x squared minus 6x plus 4. So once again, if you look, it doesn't cross exactly at a number. So you just need to tell me between what two numbers does it cross. So what about this first one? It crosses between 0 and 1. What about the next one? 5 and 6. So that's all you're going to say. You're going to say between 0 and 1 and between 5 and 6. That's it. Now eventually we will learn how to get a precise answer. Okay, but for right now this is all we're doing with the graphing. Any questions? Okay. So this is what I need you to do on pages 233 and 234. I need you to do 14 through 29. Now if you work right now, you should be able to get it all done. And so then you won't have to worry about finding a computer to finish your homework. Okay, but pages 233, 234, 14 through 29, this is due tomorrow.